Peace and blessings, beautiful people. We want to welcome you. So, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, good day to you, wherever you are at this moment in time. Thank you for tuning in. I am Ade Anifowose, a transformational guide and a sacred drummer. I have my dear sister friend here, and I'm going to throw it over to her to introduce herself.
I am Lois McNab. Thank you, dear brother Ade, for inviting me to this um, session. uh, I'm Lois McNab, and I am a energy consultant and facilitator for self-healing.
And that's pretty much the theme of this conversation about self healing. So, my dear sister and I were part of a business, which we'll say more about soon. And we've been having a conversation, and the theme, if you will, is money, health, and wealth. So, I want to invite you right now. If you have something to write on, grab it real quick, or if you can type on your phone, you can act like you can text yourself or whatever. We just want to do a little exercise. So I want to invite you to take a deep breath. So when I say this next word, I want you to notice what you notice, to pay attention to what you feel in your body, the thoughts to come up. The only rule, the main rule, should I say, don't judge whatever comes up. Okay? Whether you consider it to be a negative thought, a negative feeling, it's okay. So, now, notice, first word is money. When you think of money, what are you noticing? What is coming up for you? Write it down, because it would be good for you to be able to look at it later, or even as we talk. The next word, health. What do you notice? Don't judge it. Don't change it. Let it be what it is. And the last word is wealth. What comes up for you? What are you noticing? Even if everything you wrote is negative, because people would say, oh, everything that came up for me is negative. It doesn't matter. Because even what you call negative has a message for you. And this is all about self-healing, is all about self-awareness. So keep that to the side and you can refer to it as we talk. So yeah, we want to talk about money, health, and wealth. And this is a conversation that I've been having with my sister because of this business. And I feel like part of me has been challenged. Part of me, I'm naturally curious. And I'm noticing some things that I'm wondering, why is it like that? How can we change that? And even some conversations that people are having when it comes to creating our reality, when it comes to creating a life that works for us. I'm hearing people do, I guess you can call it double talk. 1 minute they're talking in the power, their belief in the power and presence of God, of life, of the divine, of the universe. And then they're talking about, but I just don't have the money. We can't make any change because we don't have any money. And I'm like, what is happening here? How big is your God? Anyway, I'm going to throw it over to my sister. Whatever you want to share about this wonderful title that we have,
Mhm.
money, health, and wealth.
Yes, indeed. And it is a wonderful title. Those three words can have such depth and meaning to them um, for people for so many different reasons. And it can bring up a whole heap of stuff.
Yeah, right,
So,
exactly.
yeah, as you've mentioned, Brother Ade, in terms of our discussions and what we've come across, um, I've recognised that if some of us are professing that the universe is abundance, we come from the source, the most high, which is abundance itself, then why are we um, in this illusion of lack? Why are we kind of in this mire of lack, in this mindset, and not realizing that, as we kind of voice that, whether it's I can't afford it, or I'm living from paycheck to paycheck, or in whatever shape or form it manifests from our mouths, as we know, that is our reality. We're creating our reality. And so there is a mismatch, especially amongst, I would say, those who believe in a higher force, or profess to be a member of some form of faith. And so there is that kind of dichotomy that's going on that I don't even think some people are recognize or aware of.
What you just said there, it's like, and I think that's the thing that challenges me, because I have my double talking sometimes, but there are some people, from the conversation, they don't recognize what they just said. So I'm I was in a group not long ago in this conversation, and it's worth saying that when I say God, some of you may not do that title. You may do Allah, you may do Buddha, you may do Jesus Christ, you may do Ifa. It doesn't matter. You may say you're an atheist. It really doesn't matter to me. When I'm saying God, I'm talking about the power, the presence, the intelligence that orchestrates all life. You may hear me say God, you may hear me say spirit, you may hear me say the divine or the universe. It's the same thing. It's the same thing for me. So if I say God and that title, that label, God, has left you feeling some kind of way, just substitute it for what works for you. So in this group, we were talking about God and knowing God and learning what God is in a new way and the changes that people are going through. And I shared some of my thoughts in that conversation about it is important for us to incorporate and integrate our humanness with our spiritual self. Like really, it's more about that what we believe and what we do to be aligned. Like we can't be saying God is powerful and can do all things, can heal all things, but yet we come right back and saying, well, the only reason we can't make any changes in life is because we don't have the financial resources. Wait, what? Now, to some extent, I don't know. I think I would have, in the past, I would have said, I understand it. But now I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because that we have to decolonize our mind, that there are many ways to get things done. And that requires that we tap into our creativity. If we don't tap into our creative self, creative nature, creative ability, we are going to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. We did some definitions, which I said we weren't going to share, but it's coming up for me to share, because I looked up the definition of money. I'm looking up here because I have a monitor up here. And there's two definitions. One is dictionary.com. It says a current medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. I think that's part of that definition is what get people jacked up. Now, some people don't credit Wikipedia with a lot of value. They're like, psh, Wikipedia. But I love the definition in Wikipedia. It says money is any item or variable record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services and repayments of debts, such as taxes in a particular country or socio-economic context. Because now it talks more about money and coins and banknotes. But I think we have been conditioned to think limitation. We've been conditioned to believe that there isn't enough. If we don't have the coins or the banknote, then we're either poor or broke or we can't get something done. But those of us on a spiritual path that believes in the power to create and recreate, the same rule applies for money. The same rule applies for money. So it's okay to say I'm on a spiritual path, but I still don't have enough money like I would like to, or I'm still having to, I think you said earlier, living from paycheck to paycheck. But when we start using our financial situation as a definition of who we are, I just feel that's error thinking,
Mm. It is
right?
error. It is error. It's not right thoughts. And in most cases, it's not right action either.
Hmm. Right.
So yeah, it's an invalid thought or invalid thinking.
Yes, yes. So I just read the definition of money, and you have the Abundance book by
Hmm.
John Randolph Price.
Hmm.
And can you read his definition of money?
So his definition of money is MONEY stands for my own natural energy yield. So when I came across that, that just resonated with me
Hmm.
in its entirety because it understands that money is like a currency. It's like it is energy,
Right.
and we emit energy. We're light beings, and we can talk about that later. Um, so we emit this energy all the time. Um, and then our thoughts, words, actions are different variations of that energy or frequency. So my own natural energy yield is depicting or showing us that what the energy that we give out, that's what we're yielding. That's either what we're giving away, but then yield is also again in the financial term when you're looking at investments. Okay, what's my yield? What's your return? So what's coming
Hmm.
back? And again, that's going to be based on whatever energy that's being given out. So yeah, that was yeah, as I said, I just love that. I just love that
Yeah.
definition.
You know what I'm thinking about? Because it's easy. Well, somebody may be thinking my own natural energy yield. So you mean the money that I have in my bank account or the money that I have is based on the energy I'm putting out? Well, I put out a lot more energy than that, but my money is not reflecting it. And I think that the catch is if we all ask ourselves, what is our definition of money? If my definition of money is based on coins and banknotes, then that definition by John Randall Price, my own natural energy yield, it's I don't know. I don't think people can really grasp the idea because we can get things done without actually touching money, the coins and the
Mhm.
banknotes.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
we have been miseducated
Hmm.
to think if you want something done, if you want to buy something, if you want to acquire something, if you don't have the money, you can't get it done. So people are chasing money in order to get, but
Yeah, and also this idea that you need money to get things done, or like I say, to buy
yes,
things, will stop us from, which it has done for me in the past, in terms of thinking that I can't get something or I can't do something because I need money, and that's not necessarily the case. You
it's
know,
not
there's
necessarily
different
the case.
mediums of exchange, like you said in the first definition. Money is any item or verifiable record. Um, those who are listed who may be familiar with like the Bills of Exchange Act um, or promissory notes, you can write a piece of paper in the olden days, actually, and in and in some fields, this still works. You could write a piece of paper and put your signature, that is money. And then somebody could fill in whatever details, and that would be accepted as money. You would give that to somebody, and that would be an
Right.
exchange in some shape or form. So it's about expanding our understanding of not just money, health, and wealth, and
Yes.
not curtailing to this idea, this limitation um, of what it means in terms of just the physical, or that
Right.
unless you have it, you can't get things done, or you can't have
Right.
things, um, or the lack of it in some shape or form makes you feel diminished within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you can have £1, $1, £1, $1 Canadian,
One
Australian
city,
dollar, right?
one
Right?
city.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of all the currencies. Well, not all, but as many as I can come up with. in
One
a
dinar.
bank, okay, and you can still move through this your life abundantly
Mm,
and
mhm,
still attract the things that you want and
mhm.
still get
Uh,
the things that you want.
So, for example, when I was on my journey in terms of put me to a different understanding of wealth and money and what it means, because I knew that there's something that I needed to get that wasn't that didn't tie in with the 3D kind of definition of money and wealth and what that stands for. And as as you know, that I went through a number of books, and did a number of courses. And I remember I was at one point I was thinking of going into property, and so I wanted to go on this property course that was particularly for women. But it was linked with, I don't, you're probably familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mhm,
So it's linked
mhm,
with that. And it was called, what was it called? It was, I think it was a women's wealth program. And it was a weekend away that you would go. At the time, I was like, oh, I don't really have the funds, but I feel that I really need to go. So
mhm,
anyway, I was in discussion, or I was talking to a sister friend at the time, and she was into property. I think she already had, her and her husband already had one property. And she goes, Lois, I can't go because she was Seventh Day Adventist. So she goes, I can't go because it's on it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
mhm,
Um, but she said, I'll give you half if you can share the material with me. And I was like,
mhm,
that could work.
mhm,
And so again, it showed me that, especially as well, it's some, if you have what set the intention to, it's something that I feel that you're meant to do, or you're meant to attend, the provision will be found. And
absolutely.
that was shown in that instance. And then
Yes.
what one of the things I took away from that weekend, and because it was mainly about women, just shifting the mindset around finances, shifting the way that you could be what they called creative financing, which was just interesting to me. And then
Mhm.
also
You said created or curated?
creative financing,
Creative
creative.
finance. Okay. Ooh.
And then there was one section that a lady did. I know her first name's Naomi. Um, can't remember her last name, but she did a section. It was just a little kind of 45-minute thing, I think it was roughly, about your beliefs around money.
Mhm.
And I thought this needs to be longer. 45 minutes ain't going to cut it. Only because
Yes.
I knew from my work that I do with
Hmm.
energy and everything and mindsets and belief systems, how, if something like that is so entrenched, and yes, you're given the practicalities over the weekend in terms of, how to get into property, what you can do in terms of, financing and refinancing or getting a deposit and all the rest of it, which is really good, really insightful. But subconsciously, if those beliefs are still there, then all the knowledge in the world is not going to assist you to break through that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that's
You're
something I took away from that.
I love that creative financing. I'm gonna play with that. I could feel the energy of that because creativity is our superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And when we learn to access our creative nature, creative mind, part of that process is challenging old beliefs around money.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of us, the beliefs we have about money is not even ours. I know beliefs that I used to have. It wasn't mine. But I just heard it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, myself included, nobody taught me about money. Nobody taught me about, when I was growing up, about investing, opening a bank account. It's something I did when I was an adult. And I had to figure my way, and it took me a while to get to a point where now, because there was a time I was at least once, if not twice a day, I'm thinking about money, and it's not thinking about bringing more in, it's what I don't have. And unless people are willing to challenge their beliefs, their belief of lack, exercise that I did earlier, giving people the opportunity to notice what they're noticing when they hear money. Those are the things that's going to either open the door for you, those beliefs, or they're going to shut the door. Or the door is going to be wide open, but because you believe it's closed, you won't be able to get through.
Mhm.
And Lois and I have experienced this in this business I'm going to talk about. But I want to just do, because we're talking about money, health, and wealth. I want to do a definition of health and a definition of wealth, and then we'll talk about the business and why we're having this conversation. What's the point? And most people could be listening saying, "Yeah, I already know that. I already know that." Okay, so let's go to health. I am going to go to dictionary.com, and the definition of health is the state of being free from illness or injury. I'm going to read that again. Health, the state of being free from illness and injury. Now, that's what we're taught. That's what we're told. It's a limited perspective, if you ask me. And even if you don't ask me, I'm going to tell you it's a limited perspective. Now, the next definition is from Wikipedia, which is a little bit more holistic. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. I mean, I would even say, if I was to tweak that, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual and
Yeah,
social well being
you've got the two that I would have
added
added as
to it.
well. Yeah,
Because we don't
definitely.
talk about emotions or the spiritual nature, and the spiritual nature has nothing to do with religion. It's about who you are. It's about your own identity. So you can have a disease or be dealing with an injury, but yet you're still connected to health, because health is not something that we can buy. Health is not something that we can add to ourselves. Health already exists. So the disease is telling us there's an interruption in the flow of energy. There's a belief in a spiritual idea. There's a spiritual disease that is manifesting in the body. So anyway, I get excited about this stuff. Let me throw it. I know you got some things to add and share.
So yes, definitely health is much more far-reaching than just the absence of illness, and it covers, all those areas that we've talked about. So health
Mm,
is it because we are one, we're multidimensional beings. Two, you know, everything's interconnected, whether it's the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, they all overlap, they all interlink. And if one's out of balance, it's going to affect all the others as well.
mhm.
So, we have to look at health from that perspective, and not see one area of health, whether it be physical, whether it be mental health, whether it be emotional health or spiritual health, as in isolation from all the others.
Yeah. We have to broaden, expand our consciousness, especially in the time that we're living in right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
The old mindset is not going to serve you. The old mindset is going to leave you feeling depressed, anxious, just going through all kind of emotional imbalance, because what we were taught, some of it we need to let go of, and we need to open ourselves up to a new way.
Yeah.
And the doorway is, you must tap into your creative nature.
Mm-hmm.
You may not call it creative nature. You can say, I just listen to God, I pray to God, and whatever works. Spend time in nature to receive the message. Read any holy book that serves you. But the old mindset is not going to serve us in this new earth that we're moving into.
Mm-hmm.
The energy of the planet is different. There's a lot going on that we don't even understand. But if we keep dealing with it with the old mindset, we are going to find ourselves stuck.
Yeah, it's not going to serve us anymore. Not that it served us then, but it's definitely not
Right.
going to serve us in terms of what we're moving into now. We're moving into new frequencies. Um, what I would also say is question everything.
Hmm.
Even what you're hearing here, question it. But even
Yes.
in addition, question, you know, your thoughts. Where did they come from? Are they yours? Um,
Hmm.
this being aware also that the thought is not you, it's not the true
Hmm.
essence of you. So yes, the times that we are moving into are completely different, and we need a new set of um, guidelines, I would say, to help us navigate. And I think not just think, I feel a big part of that is looking at who we are, what has brought us to this point in this juncture that we may be at, or we might be thinking or starting to question things that are being brought into our awareness, or notice patterns that we keep repeating, and why. So it really is about us kind of doing that inner inquiry of self,
Yes.
to help to elicit, and start to kind of, with that unfolding of all the layers like an onion, to find out what is true for me, especially as it relates to health, especially as it relates to money and wealth. And also, once you connect to that inner self and doing that inner inquiry, it's almost like, at some point you'll connect further, or reconnect with the divinity of self that we all are. So, mhm.
Connecting with self. Yeah, okay, so let me read the definition of wealth. Somehow
Mhm.
Wikipedia doesn't give me a definition. I guess Wikipedia is like, oh, I'm working on it. Oh, yeah, actually, no, there isn't. There is a Wikipedia definition. So
Mm.
the first one, which I think is limited, dictionary.com, an abundance of valuable possessions or money, wealth. I mean, just listen to that. For me, it's like, oh my God. Wealth is an abundance of valuable possessions of or money, the state of being rich, material prosperity. Okay, let me see what I haven't ever seen this before, so I'm catching it at the same
Yeah, I
time I'm
mean, I
reading.
mean, I'm just, as you're saying that, as
Yeah,
you're reading that definition, I'm just thinking, you can see why the majority of the population or the world is caught up with this idea of, you can't be abundant, or you can't be
yeah,
considered wealthy unless you have possessions that are valuable, and you have like cash or money, or
yes.
whether that's banknotes or coins, or yeah, or certain
And,
assets.
and if your belief is having a lot of material prosperity, having coins and banknotes, and that's your wealth, and is working for you, so be it. But this conversation, the intention of this conversation is to challenge those who want to change, to challenge their beliefs so they can have a different life experience.
Mhm.
Wealth
And
is far more than just having abundance of valuable possessions. Go ahead.
or money. And I'm not saying, just to be clear, not saying that there's anything wrong with having valuable possessions. There's nothing wrong with having money. Just want to make that clear.
Right, exactly. So, like I said I didn't see the definition from Wikipedia earlier, but I'm
Mhm.
looking at it and I was like, not impressed. Wealth is the abundance. Wealth is the abundance of valuable financial assets or physical possessions which can be converted into a form that can be used for transactions. Not bad, actually. Not
Mhm.
bad. Wealth is the abundance of valuable assets, no, valuable financial assets or physical possessions, which can be converted into a form that can be used for transactions. So the form could be all kind of forms. And we need to decolonize our minds in knowing that wealth is more than the coins and the banknotes. The breath that I'm breathing in is part of my wealth.
Mhm.
The fact that I can think about this and speak this, not just with myself, not just with my sister friend, but to the world, that's part of my wealth. The fact that I can question my own belief and say, wait, that's part of my wealth. We call the show, the theme is money, health, and wealth. Your health is your wealth. Oh, no, am I saying it wrong? Your health, yeah, no.
Yeah, your health is your wealth.
Yeah, somehow I've been saying it before, but it just sounds so
You
different.
said
Your
it wrong.
health is your wealth. Because if you're not healthy, if you can't get up, if you're emotionally unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, spiritually unhealthy, socially unhealthy, but you're financially healthy, you can't enjoy it.
Mhm.
And the emotional, the mental, the spiritual wealthiness is an internal job. It's an inside job.
Mhm.
And it is our responsibility to reclaim our power, to rethink, to make different choices, to question ourselves, to question our belief system. It's like if the way my life is, I'm not happy with it, what needs to change? And what do I need to change within myself for me to be able to bring about the external change? Sometimes we're looking for change on the outside, but we're staying the same. If you stay the same, you won't even notice the change if it did happen or if someone brought you the change. But as long as your mindset is the same, you won't notice it. If you want something different in your life, you have to be different.
Mm. It's not, you can't be on the same kind of level or frequency or be acting or behaving or thinking the same and expect something to change. It doesn't work like that at all. There has to be
Yes.
some kind of shift, course correction, um, and that comes with awareness. So once you're aware, say like with the exercise at the beginning, in terms of, okay, did any of those words make you feel a certain way? Or what did you write down? Did you notice anything in your body when, Brother Ade mentioned them? And then it's like, okay, that's the first step, having that awareness. And
Mhm.
then, okay, then why is it that you felt like that? What comes to mind in terms of what is it that you heard? Um, and working through that. But that has to be, yeah, there has to be a change, because otherwise the behavior or the conditioning is still there, the programming is still there.
Like there has to be a change or there is no change.
And the only constant thing is change.
That's it. That's it. Change is scary. Change sometimes can feel like death. And I would even say change is death. You
It
got
is,
to be
yeah.
willing to
It's a, it's,
die
it's a
to your
die.
old
It's
belief.
exactly, it's a dying of the old self. So you could be born
Absolutely.
anew, or the rebirth can be a new sense of self,
Absolutely.
a new way of being. Um,
Yes.
and it's how I look at it in terms of like energetically, or when I'm working with clients, is like it's a dying of the old patterns of behavior, the old
Hmm.
conditioning, or that rigid,
Yes.
the rigid thoughts, or the rigid ways of being. And it's almost a surrendering of that ego, so you can move more into the higher aspects of self,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and just be more, and just flow with more ease and with grace in life, instead of feeling constrictive or restricting yourselves or coming from a place of lack of limitation. So it
Absolutely.
really is, an inside job.
It's an inside job. It's a mindset thing. It's about
Mhm,
expanding consciousness.
mhm,
I want to talk about the business. What you and I have been doing our work individually. I met you many years ago, and then we
mhm,
went our separate ways. And even before we met, you've been doing your spiritual work. I've been doing it, not just personal work, but as a business. So
mhm,
we've both been
mhm,
doing the same thing. So this business I'm going to talk about brought us together. Um, but before I segue into that, I want to say, and just to amplify what you said. So earlier when I did the exercise, that see, notice what's coming up for you. Spend time looking at that. For some people, you could be like, I feel good about money, or I have no restrictions, rather than even feel
mhm,
good. I have no, I feel clear. My bank account does not reflect what I feel. But when I think about money, I don't have any restrictions. I don't feel like there's no panic attack happening. Some
mhm,
people can have a lot of money and they're like, oh my God, they're either worried about losing it or worried about it running out, how to get more. And none of this is a judgment. This is an opportunity for you to look at yourself and see where you are.
mhm,
Because there are things we don't know until we have conversations like this. So spend some time with the answers that came up for you and see if you feel like, oh, I'm pretty relaxed. How can you make that bigger? Not from a place of lack. How can you spread that? How can you extend that? How can you maybe teach that to other people who are struggling? How can you teach that without being judgmental of people who are struggling?
mhm,
How can you be more compassionate with somebody on the street who doesn't have a home and they're asking for money? You might say, "Oh, money." When I think of money, I'm good. Then if you see someone begging for money, do you find yourself saying they just need to change their mindset? The reason they're there is to change their mindset. Well, maybe they're giving you opportunity to compare, to recognize there was a time you were there, to recognize that you're in a different situation and you could be in that situation. All of us.
Yeah, it's only 2 months away from being homeless. What I was told
Right.
once. Yeah, just two
Mm,
paychecks away. And like you said, it's an opportunity if we see somebody in need, whether it's a homeless person or, a beggar or whatever, that sometimes they're there to um, remind us to be available, to give what we can, um, to see that there is this kind of interconnection um, that's occurring. It's an opportunity to show abundance and kind of overriding that mindset of lack.
yes.
Because if you're giving to somebody in need, somewhere in your psyche, you have enough to be able to give.
Right. Absolutely.
So um, it's those individuals are an opportunity for us to be giving and
Oh, I
to
love
and
that.
to
Yes.
demonstrate the abundance that we have.
Absolutely. And the giving doesn't have to be money.
Exactly.
The giving can be eye contact because sometimes we try
Mhm.
not to look at them.
Could be a
The,
smile.
it could be a smile. It could be just an acknowledgement that I see you. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a word.
Mm,
It could be, sorry, I don't have any change. You know, it's just help, just letting that person know that you see them. That's a
mm,
gift.
mhm,
Recognize that's another human being. We said earlier, you said earlier that everything is connected. Everything is connected.
mhm.
Everything is connected.
Everything.
Okay, so we got a few minutes to go. And so, as I was saying earlier, this is a conversation in my own personal life, learning about money, my own beliefs about money, my struggles with money. That will be another conversation for another episode because we're going to continue this as we talk about this business. But this business got me having a conversation with my dear sisters like,
Mhm.
what is happening? So the business is LifeWave. I was introduced to LifeWave through my dear sister. And I don't want to go into, I'll say more later, but what I will say is it came into my life when I started to talk to Spirit about I want to learn about investing. And I reached out to some friends if they could recommend somebody. And then my dear sister shared a link with me and she said, "What do you know about stem cells?" I'm like, I know, blah, 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 whatever I said. She said, "Well, take a look at these, the videos in this link." And I did. And there was something about the patches and the video talking about patches and phototherapy that got me so lit up. And I knew that was the answer. Lois going to say a little bit more about it, but because we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. No, we're not wrapping up. We're releasing the conversation because we don't need to wrap it up. But I'm giving. This is a long story, but I've tried to keep it short in sharing the product with other people who I feel, and I own it, I claim it, I own it, who I feel could this product, the patches can be beneficial to them. It might not be, but based on what I know, I feel like it can make a difference. And some of the feedback that I get, or some people would say instantly, how much does it cost? It's not even before they watch the video or they watch it. The first thing is how much does it cost? And sometimes some of them watch the video and have other questions. And for me, and it's not from a place of judgment, I've just been like, what can we do to help people shift their minds to recognize that you can be healthy and your healthiness does not have to be defined by the money you have in your account. And there is always ways to get the thing that you say you want in many ways. Anyway, without putting words in your mouth, I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about LifeWave or whatever you feel like sharing. We have to next episode we'll talk more about that and
Mhm.
we can let people know how they can reach
Yeah.
us. But anyway, go
So
ahead. Let me be
so
quiet.
so yeah, I think just over a year, probably a year ago, I needed to have like an injection of cash flow. And I asked Spirit, Universe, I was doing a particular affirmation, and I was made a request for a way for me to be able to have another stream of income. And I also recognized that I had started to incorporate certain products into my practice as well. And so when I came across LifeWave and the way that I was able to become what's known as a member or a brand partner of LifeWave in itself showed how, one, by setting an intention and asking, because asking you shall receive, this opportunity that presented itself to me. And I instantly knew, okay, my request had been answered, because it was, and just how the product is, it's all natural, it's working on light, which is energy, which is something that I'm very familiar with, that I can come on board with. And so it was also, I could also recognize there were certain challenges for me in terms of not so much sharing information with people, but also what their reaction may be in terms of like the cost. Because again, for me, when it comes to my health, and especially something that I know for one works, two, it's completely natural. There's there's no pharmaceutical involvement whatsoever. It's for me, it was like it's a godsend from the divine almost. So when I'm sharing the information with others and there is some resistance there, and the resistance is around the cost, and I've heard people say that, oh no, they want to invest, it's time they invested in their health and they need to make it a priority. But yeah, for some reason that is a stumbling block for them, the actual cost. And so as Ade and I have been speaking and talking, it's like, okay, what is the best way to assist those individuals around their mindset? Because it's almost like, rather than limiting and going into lack, it's shifting and saying, okay, well, how can I afford this? What can I do to be able to for me to be able to acquire this? And then that's when, as Brother Ade was saying, that's when the creativity starts to flow. The ideas will start to come. You may meet somebody, or you may have like a mini windfall that allows you to be able to invest in your health. So yeah, this is something that, as Brother Ade said, we will come back to. But it is a concern, especially in our community. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that, because that's it's part of just bubbling up for me. We, as African descendant people, African heritage people, we've bought into a lie. And when I say lie, that there is some physical truth, human truth about money, that we may not have the thing that used to go around. I don't hear it as much anymore. Generational wealth. We may not have generational wealth, but the lie that we bought into is we've allowed ourselves to accept that because we can't claim generational wealth, then we won't always have money. We're always going to struggle. That is BS. That is BS. Like, I want to just put out here, if there is something that you need, want, or desire, and you think money is getting in the way, money stopping you from having it, the first thing I want to ask you to say yes to that thing that you need, want, or desire. Well, it don't matter. Somebody would say, well, you don't need anything. Oh, whatever. I'm just not going to be splitting hairs with you. But whether you want it, whether you need it, whether you desire, say yes. take time to get still and ask, who must I become in order to allow this thing that I need, want, or desire to come into my life? Because if you're not willing to shift, you just might not be able to attract it. But if you don't shift, I don't want to say it like that. I'll use an example. Lottery. Some people win the lottery. They haven't changed their mindset. And when the money comes, give them 2 or 3 years, they're back to where they started. Change your mind, change your life. I am going to share a link in the comments, in the note section, so you can find out more about LifeWave, my link, and Lois's link. But this is the thing. This is the topic that got us really like. And as Lois said, it's like, how can we help our people of African descent who are buying into the lie? We got to break free of mental slavery. And the goal is not necessarily that they break through the mental slavery. Now they say, I want to find out more about the patches because I got the money. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate others. So if it's not the patches that you want, you can go get what you want. And it's not this, it's a more an embodied, expanded way of living life where you can live your truth and know that you're supported.
And live a life of abundance and
Yes.
a life fulfilled.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's truly about. And that's what we're here to do.
Yes.
There's something I just opened to this in the Abundance book by John Randolph Price, and I think it kind of sums up in terms of being open to receive the how we need to be. And it says, give with love, joy, a sense of fun, and the windows of heaven will be thrown open with a blast.
You read that one more time, please.
Give with love, joy, and a sense of fun, and the windows of heaven will be thrown open with a blast. So for me, reading that, it just brings up and evokes like you're being on that wavelength, that vibration, that frequency of love, joy, playfulness, fun.
Yes.
And in doing so, it allows, the heavens to open and for you to be surrendering to receive. And you're in that kind of state of joy. There's no kind of restriction in any way, shape, or form in your being.
There is no restriction in joy. And giving from that place of love, joy, and playfulness means you are allowing yourself to be in that state. You're not trying to say, okay, what does it feel like to be joyful? I mean, some people may need that, but you're giving from, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I feel joyful, just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and give from that from that place of love, of joyfulness, of playfulness. Like, yeah, sure, you can have it. It's a workout, spiritual gym on a daily basis. My dear sister, thank you very much. I am looking forward to our next episode. Yes. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for liking, sharing it with people that you know in your community, and keep the conversation going in the comments. We'll check it out. If you have questions for us, feel free to ask. But it's all about community. Together we're stronger. The world that's dying, I don't know what happened, why my camera went out. The world that is dying was dealing with individuality. The new world is about interdependency. There is no self-made nothing. There is no self-made nothing. I don't care how much money they have in the bank. There is no self-made. You did not even make yourself. On that note, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we thank God for you. Have a wonderful day.
Indeed.
Thank you, my dear sister.
Thank you, dear brother Ade. Thank you all for listening.